Welcome to week 2, session 2 of Story of God. So where we're at right now, we've already covered the beginning of the beginning, the pre-story, where God has created or started creating the foundations of the world. The angels are amazed and worshiping him, and one of the angels, Satan, decides he wants all that glory, and he rebels and basically starts a war. God flicks him to the earth. So we've already discussed that. Here's part 1 of the actual story, the origin poem. God went down to the earth he created. It was a dark, soupy nothingness. You guys have to listen carefully.
Yes.
Listen carefully. His spirit hovered over the watery abyss as he continued creating. He spoke it, and light burst forth and separated the darkness. It was evening. It was morning, day 1. He spoke it, and the waters divided, and the sky appeared. It was evening. It was morning, day 2. He spoke it, and land emerged from the water, and a diversity of plants sprouted that would reproduce. Then he thought, this is good. It was evening. It was morning, day 3. He spoke it, and the sun, the moon, the stars throughout the universe appeared and began their orbits. Watching it, he thought, this is good. It was evening, it was morning, day 4. He spoke it, and the waters produced all kinds of life, and the sky produced all kinds of birds. He thought, this is good. God blessed them, saying, prosper, reproduce. It was evening, it was morning, day 5. He spoke it, and the land produced animals of every sort and kind. He then created humans. He said, let us make human beings in our image. Make them reflecting our nature so they can be responsible for all the animals and earth itself. He created the humans, male and female, and then blessed them. Prosper, reproduce, fill the earth, take control of the earth. Whatever grows out of the ground, I've given it to you and the animals and birds for food. Heaven and earth were finished. God looked at all he had created and thought, this is all so very good. It was evening, it was morning, day 6. On the 7th day, God rested from his work. He blessed that day and called it holy. All right, retell the story in your own words.
Whoa.
That was a big story, big poem.
It starts with a dark, soupy nothingness.
Yeah, I
got
remember
that one.
soupy. Soupy.
Dark, soupy nothingness.
He came down and it was dark, soupy nothingness.
And his spirit hovered.
Yes, spirit hovered.
And then he created night and day.
Night and day.
Night and
that
day.
was day 1.
Day 1.
And then day 2, he had
Land and
Land.
sky.
Created the waters and the, yes. Day 3 is plants.
Plants and
in land, but then that's when we hear the word good for the
Yes,
first time.
yes, I
Day
noticed that
After
too.
day 3 is when he
How
said
did you
good.
notice that?
And it said
Just
over
listening.
and over, he spoke it.
Yep.
He spoke it. So he spoke it into existence.
Day 4 was when he made the animals in the water.
Sun,
Nope.
moon, sun,
that was
moon,
day 5.
stars,
Yikes. Oh, yes.
sun,
The
moon, and
universe
stars.
on its orbit.
Day 6 is the
Day
animals.
5, day
Or-
5.
Sorry, you're right. I missed a day.
Animals.
Animals.
Or the, yeah.
And they were
animals in the
supposed to
water
reproduce and fill the earth.
And then day 6 was when he made land animals and humans.
Oh, good job.
Plants.
Yep.
Yep. Still
No.
called it good.
And humans.
And humans.
They were also supposed to reproduce and fill the earth and take charge of it. Did I say that right?
I don't remember the exact word that was used,
And
but
they could have
basically
anything that came
consume
from
of
the earth? Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
things on the earth.
And on
then-
the 7th day, when he rested, he called it holy.
Yeah, I've never heard it said that way. That was
Yeah.
actually, that was good.
Anything else?
Nope.
We dominated that.
That was pretty good, yeah.
I didn't pay attention.
I listened a
again,
lot more that time.
This was a great session, folks. Thank you.
Okay, what else do we learn about God in this poem? Where did you see it?
Well, it's reinforcement that he's creative, so he's still creator.
So he's not just creator, but he's creative.
So
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
like God
love that.
is slow. Like, why doesn't he just call it all into existence? Why didn't he just snap his fingers and just say, "Here it is, people, creation"? No, but he's slow. He's taken 6 days.
Takes his time.
He's careful. Yeah,
Okay.
slow. I mean,
Intentional?
slow is lack of a better term. And then on that 7th day, he goes, "I need a break." You know, like it.
Okay,
He
I've always
rests.
wondered that. Was he actually, it doesn't say he was tired. It just says he rested.
He rested.
Because I make jokes about all that.
Is
I'm
he
like,
teaching
"Phew, I gotta
us to rest? Like, hey, you can go hard for 6 days, but for one, you need to slow down? Or is he? I just don't think he was genuinely tired. Like, oh man, I'm.
Well, it doesn't say that, and we got to go by what was said.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
didn't say he was tired, but he did rest, which feels intentional.
And he called it holy.
And he said what he made was good.
Yeah.
So
And-
maybe he was proud of himself because he kept basically complimenting what he created.
Back to Tony. Tony, you wanted slow?
I mean, I d-
Intentional?
Intentional.
I think I
yeah,
rephrased that.
intentional.
Oh,
yeah.
that's good. Intentional.
Yeah,
Yeah.
intentional. Yeah, I don't want to like
Oh, you got intentional. Okay.
verbally
you
assault
create
God.
How do
Can you
you
and-
create
say-
night and day in one
Yeah.
day?
How do you say that there was an obvious design? Because the order
yeah.
in which things were created, like you obviously, oh, maybe it's not obvious, but in my mind, you wouldn't make people if there wasn't dry ground for them to stand on and fruit for them to eat. So
Is that
there's like a
thoughtful?
design. Design is the
Yeah.
only word that comes into my head, but
Well designed. He's a designer.
Designer.
It's a grand
Well, I feel like
design
that goes back to him being thoughtful too. Like
sure.
he
Maybe it's
thinks
intentional.
intentional.
He
Okay.
think, yeah.
Yeah. I think he's happy. He's calling things good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like
Like,
that's a like it's
that's
a
good.
it's a happy response. Yeah.
So he has emotions.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would
I
say
feel
he
like
has
there's
emotion.
a can of worms. They're squirming away.
Oh man.
He's at least happy.
Yeah, he's happy. He's calling it good. He's not like upset that he created plants.
That was bad. That
Yeah,
sucked.
that's oh man. Let that one go. Yeah.
Okay, the other thing is he made man in his likeness or image. So I don't know if that's a characteristic, but I just think that's a noteworthy piece. That part of creation was set apart from all the other parts of creation. That humans were. Well, maybe we'll just get to that with humans, right? I
Yeah.
just jumped the gun.
We
Slow
can
down
talk
there.
about humans too. So humans are made in God's image.
Okay, good. We're just going right on. What can we know about humans?
And then like why doesn't it if it says it was made like his image, if we were like him, wouldn't we be able to create stuff and do all these crazy cool things God's just doing right now? Like so why if we're made in his image, is it more of like we're also made as like an emotional response to his image? I don't know. Like not necessarily like I just
Well,
can't create stuff.
Let's
you know?
build this from what we know from the story, right?
Yeah.
So if we're made in his image, all those characteristics would be true of us too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I like how you just nod a lot, Mark.
Possibly.
Can I say that he's caring because he waited until things that we could consume and live off of were created before he made humans, and then he is giving us the opportunity to consume of all the things that he just made and thought was really good.
Yeah.
And we get to be
Yeah, he didn't create us and put us in that soupy nothingness.
Yeah.
Good luck.
He made like this seemingly beautiful / good place and then created people to live in that goodness.
And he gives us a call to action as humans. He gives us this call to action to reproduce, but then this call to action like you have authority now. You have authority over this stuff.
Responsibility.
Yeah, you like a
Yeah.
responsibility.
I was trying to think of a way, I don't know how to make that into a characteristic, but it makes me think he's not afraid to share authority or share responsibility. He's not a power
good.
monger. He's
Right.
not to that level of powerful. He's willing to share that power with his
Which
created.
is crazy to think though, because we just learned that Satan wanted that power. But
He
now
crossed the line.
He crossed the line, but God is like freely giving us authority right now.
He has
good.
a lot of faith in the things that he's making.
What would the difference be between those two? Between us getting a responsibility and what Satan did? What's that difference?
Well, I think Satan was taking the glory, attention, praise away from God. But humans And I think you read that in there. We're supposed to reflect him. I can't remember how you said it. Maybe I'm imagining that.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa, nice.
Let us make human beings in our image, make them reflecting our nature, so that we can
Crushed it.
so that they can be responsible for all the animals in the earth itself. So yeah, so they're reflective, like you said.
Okay,
all-
so if they're
all the
working
things of
with God, okay, so it's like a partnership. We work with God. We are trusted with responsibility and authority and power. We work against him, we get flicked.
So God is in charge, but he's also willing to share responsibility. He wants to partner.
This is hard work here, folks.
Yeah. Digging deep on the theology.
All right, what else you got for us, Mark?
Anything else you can think of as far as attributes of God?
I think we've covered it.
Really? This is all.
I mean, just
Maybe you should prompt us in a certain direction, Mark.
No, that's fine. My next thing would be like, what happens to this world if God isn't creative, right? What if he's not good? What if it's not orderly, right? How does the world look any different?
It looks a lot different. I don't even know how to put that into words. It was
Let's start with one.
soupy nothingness before God brought order to it and goodness to it and creativity to it. It was soupy nothingness.
So if he brought order to it, but he wasn't really creative, what would the world look like?
So are you saying if one of his characteristics was
It would be
missing?
Seattle
Yeah.
with gray skies.
Yeah. We'd all look the same. There'd be one tree, right?
Oh, everything would be.
There'd be sheep, but nothing else, right? Just one animal, right? It'd be pretty like
bland. It would
Did you
be-
guys hear my mind blow a little bit right there?
Yeah.
like-
that actually.
like
kind of blew my mind,
Minecraft,
too.
right? Just like the whole world, like one biome of Minecraft, right? Just
Great comparison because
Flat
that
Earth.
is the worst game.
It's the
It's
worst
so
game.
boring. So I do
offended
actually
all
kind
the
of feel
middle
like it would be
schoolers.
like that. Everything might be sort of pixelated.
right? Low quality, right?
Well.
Yeah. What if he didn't want to partner with humans? What does that look like?
No
That
free
looks
will.
like a dictatorship.
Yeah, I was gonna say like we would be his minions in that case.
That goes back to we wouldn't be in God's image then, I feel. If we were just,
We don't have any work to do.
we'd be subject
We're
to
just like there in this world, and like,
We're robots.
thanks.
feel meaningless. Feel
Yeah.
like what's,
Pre-programmed.
And we would all look exactly the same apparently.
This actually reminds me of the Matrix, like where the machines are making the dream world, right? And all the humans rejected it, right? Because they didn't want this perfect paradise. They wanted something that was a little bit off, right? Not that that's theology in the Matrix, but that's what it reminds me of. We have this thing that we need work, right? We need to make things better. We need to create order in this world. Else we just reject reality. All right, what do we learn about the world in this poem?
It's a good place. The good place.
It's good.
That's good.
Small plug.
It's good. It's orderly. It's creative. It reproduces.
it has so much to offer.
Yeah,
It's not
everything
that
you would
soupy
need.
nothing. Yeah. It's got water, it's got light, it's got darkness, it's got vegetation, it's got animals, it's got humans. It's like,
It's got the ability to reproduce. What's put on it can reproduce.
Wait, did he tell the humans to reproduce before he gave Adam a wife?
Yes.
who's Adam?
How does that work?
But we don't
Or I
know
guess
that
Adam-
yet.
Yeah.
That is a really good point, though, that I have never thought of,
get
is
there.
that man was told to reproduce, but there was only man.
That's weird. Yes.
We'll see what the text says next time. So the world is good, but humans have a job to do within this world. Does that mean that the world is perfect? Or not perfect? Does good mean perfect?
I think though, why are we measuring perfect?
What is perfect?
Yeah, what is perfect? Like why are we using that as a term? Like why are we even measuring it if God called it good? Was his aim to be perfect? Like if it was everything he kept calling
Okay, how
was
about
good?
was it perfectly orderly? How about that?
This feels like a trick question.
Yeah, I feel like you're about to pull something
I mean,
else
I'm just
out.
trying to think like there was just animals and one dude living. So like I can't imagine like a lot of stuff goes wrong with that. I mean,
He had work to do, right? What
Yeah.
work did he have to do?
that
Name
responsibility that I was talking about.
Yeah, it's actually, if you have to go and get fruit hanging from a tree, that's technically work to go and pick all the fruit.
Did it say that yet?
I don't know.
No.
It said that the plants produce fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
He gave the fruit for food, yeah.
He wasn't just gonna stare at it. He was probably getting hungry.
You don't know that. Well, did
So
he
what
feel
you're
hunger?
asking is, did humans eat?
I'm being serious.
Okay, yeah.
Did he even need food?
Well, he gave him food, so they must have needed it.
I don't know if the world was perfect, but it seems to be. It seems to be. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it seems to be not flawed. And God said it was good, and He created it, and He was thoughtful about His creation and intentional and orderly. So it seems to be perfectly engineered. So I'm going to go with yes, it was perfect.
You want to take
Go
back
ahead.
that
Go
answer?
ahead. Give it to me.
I'm choosing not to answer.
Let's wait until the next session where we can talk about more detail about what the humans are getting into and stuff like that. So jump the gun a little bit, but that's a good thing to think about. Why do you think he created everything? Why did he do all this?
I don't know. Maybe it's enjoyable. It feels like I don't know, it's like a work of joy or a work of love or I don't know, maybe love isn't the right word exactly, but I feel like when people do anything creative, they love to do it. So
And they take pride in that creation. He called it good
Yeah.
numerous times. So he obviously enjoyed what he was making.
And that's why he continued to keep making more and saying it was good.
Yeah.
That was like
Yeah.
right when we were in the beginning of discussing this, but how I felt like he was proud of what he did. And I definitely think if you're proud of something, then
Yeah.
you're going to just keep going. So,
Yeah, artists are really proud of their work, and I think he's really proud to do this. Like he really wants. He's clearly. I'm stuck on that word "good." I'm sorry. Like he mentions it so many times that there's obviously something so significant behind that word.
But why did he start it in the first place? Why did he start creating this good
because the soupy nothingness wasn't good.
Maybe it wasn't good enough for him. He wanted more. Yeah.
thing? Do any of these attributes here require or lean towards a God who wants to create something?
creative.
Yeah. Creator.
Powerful.
Relational?
Intentional.
Relational?
I mean, yeah, you can't have any friends or family. There's no one there. So,
That's a great point.
If he has himself and he wants and he really loves this relation that he's in with himself, right? The three Trinity, which we don't know about yet, but he wants some kind of relation, so he has to create beings that are relational.
But he doesn't want to create beings to just like exist in this soupy nothingness. So he had to create an ideal place where that was good for the beings
Yeah.
that he could have a relationship with.
It must have been fun. I don't know if fun is the right word for God, but to have the power to create such beauty and intricacy and, I don't know, painting the sky with sunset color, like that had to be fun.
Yeah.
This coming from a not very creative person.
That's not true. All right, so Tony touched on this one a little bit before. Why do you think he created everything in one day? Or why didn't he create it in one day? Sorry. I got the two questions mixed.
I think he's setting us up for something. I think I'm looking maybe too big picture, but I think he's trying to model something for us. That if we're made in his image and made in his likeness, and we're going to live and do things like him, that if he took 6 days to work, then maybe that's what I need to do as a human, is work for 6 days and then declare the seventh day holy. So I just think God is maybe trying to show us something. He's trying to, I don't know, as we're doing the big God story and all this, I just keep thinking that that there isn't, I don't know, like God is just trying to show us, like he's trying to tell us something. And we're just trying to navigate, what is he trying to say? Like it wasn't necessarily just for him and just, yeah. Does that make sense? I'm sorry. I know I'm like kind of.
Rest is important.
Yeah.
But why didn't he work for 3 days and then rest for one?
I don't like math. I don't know.
I think this comes back to orderly. And I mean, I don't know if this answers why, but there's definitely a pattern of orderliness here. In those 6 days, we're going to separate light and darkness, and we're going to separate dry ground from water. And then the other 3 days this is what's going to be in those spaces. So to me, it feels like an orderly kind of a pattern of creation. But again, he could have done that in 6 half days. So I don't know that we'll ever know. You did start off by saying this was an ancient poem. And so we don't even know how scientific this really is. If the literary device is a poem, then it may not actually be 6 24-hour days. And that I don't think we should get caught up in that.
That's actually the next question. Why do you think the beginning of the beginning is recorded as a poem and not as a document that explains everything in detail?
I think with the poem, it kind of highlights the beauty of his creation and like how, I don't know, it's not like about how we made it. It's just like the thought behind it and the ideas, I guess.
I love the idea. A document's maybe a little more legal, a little more textbook, and then a poem's a little more, obviously poetic, but just a little more beautiful in its nature, and it presents this beautiful image. And I feel like if God had given us the details verbatim and just it just would feel like a legal form or something.
And maybe we think poems are beautiful because of this. Boom.
Shazam. How does science in our present day culture explain the beginning of the universe? How is that similar or different than this origin poem?
I think if we were to just put that in the most simplest terms, I think science, which wants details in order, is actually trying to believe something that is a complete accident or not orderly, when in fact, this is incredibly orderly and well-designed and intentional. So to me, that's like I don't know, what do you call that? Oxymoron? It's completely ironic.
Yeah. That is true. I haven't thought about that before.
I think if you subscribe to the Big Bang Theory and you're willing to believe maybe a major star exploded or something like that, why wouldn't you then believe that maybe there is a God who created all these things in due time, where I do agree actually that there is more science to this than random theory or just this is what we think. Yeah.
I mean, couldn't God have made the Big Bang in a way? I mean, he could have used, like the way they explain it, it's like very, I mean, all the planets were created and stuff, like couldn't he have done it that way, like over millions of years? And days might have just been like a period of time, not exactly a day, but yeah, more literally, like, or less literally, I guess, like not a day. Just over the course of a long time, he made the earth and things grew and like animals came. I don't know.
I think it's important to know that this document or this poem was written thousands of years ago, right? And they didn't have our modern science, right? They
That's
knew
true.
the sky and the earth and the sea and nothing really beyond that, right? They thought the stars were just up there a couple hundred of feet. And so any kind of scientific document that would have recorded the creation of the universe would have just been like way over their heads. It'd probably been over our heads even today, right? And so the poem allows us to just go, all right, kind of forget the details, right? This is the, like you were saying, the thought behind it. This is the action behind it, the orderliness, right? The guy who created and started this all. And yeah, it could have been started with the Big Bang. He could have done all sorts of ways that we can discover today scientifically, and we're still discovering, and we're still changing our theories and changing our hypotheses and trying to figure things out. And so what I think it doesn't, what's written in the poem doesn't negate anything that we ever discover, right? It's always just like, oh, it matches somehow. So, any final thoughts, problems, concerns?
Many problems, but
What are your problems, Tony? Come on. We got time. Let's spit it out.
I think now I'm hung up on the science question.
Why?
I don't even know. Like, what if? I'm fine. I don't know where to go with this. Honestly,
Talk it out. Talk it out, Tony.
I'm just thinking. I guess I'm stuck. Why would God take 6 days? Honestly, like, why would he? Why didn't?
Well, the poem says 6 days.
the
It
6
doesn't say that there's a literal 6 days. It's just a poem about 6 days of creation.
Sure.
So you have it's hard, I know. You have to divorce yourself from the concept of creation versus the actual scientific creation.
Yeah.
We have no idea about the power of God and all that.
I'm so confused now.
And I think also the rest. I'm trying to solve why. Why did he need to do that? He's God. He could do whatever he wants. He's all powerful. Why would he rest?
Who was the first audience for this poem?
Wait, are we allowed to break the rules and like?
Let's
fast
break the
forward?
rules. At
Okay.
the final part of this session, since you're wrestling with this, who's the audience, right? Who's that first audience that's going to read this poem and want to know that rest is an important thing for them?
It's the original Jewish audience, wouldn't it?
It's
Yeah.
God's people. It's
It's
Israel.
God's people. It's Israel.
Right. At what point in time are they getting this poem? King David? Is this a King David poem? Is this a Jesus poem? Right? What's their reality?
Well, if you believe that this was written by Moses, which is who most scholars attribute this to, then Moses was the time period of slavery, or leaving slavery,
Right out of
escaping from slavery.
Right.
So I can guess where you're going because I get stuck on this a lot too. When I think about God resting, I make jokes about this all the time that my entire life I've thought rest means you must lie down and not move. And I think I've come to understand that a nation of people whose value is based on what they produce as slaves and how hard they work and how many hours they work and how many bricks they make, which again, we're breaking the rules because we fast forwarded a little, needed to understand that their value is how God sees them, not what they do. And I think that's so relevant for us today. We are so I'll speak for myself, I am so production oriented, and I struggle with finding my value in what I produce. So a day of rest for me, and I think this is a callback to why did God rest, is to stop producing and appreciate what you've already produced. And what God had produced was good, and it was beautiful, and it was orderly, and it was intentional, and he made humans in his image, and he made animals and flowers and trees and all this canvas of beauty. Could we just stop and appreciate that it's good? But we, especially now, we are so, what's the next thing that we're producing? What's the next thing on the list? How many things can we fit into a day? How many bricks can we produce? It's this human nature problem where we forget to just appreciate what there is, and that's rest.
So that could have even been what God was doing on that seventh day in that
Appreciating
poem
what he
that was-
made.
Yeah, just sitting
It's
back
good.
and just appreciating everything he had done.
I'm an Enneagram 3, so I'm constantly trying to achieve. That's like my thing is achieve, go, 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 go. So
That is the American way. That is a lot of the world. It's definitely an American thing. We are proud of what we do, not who we are. We forget to appreciate who we are. If we didn't go very far on the list for humans, but the two things we put up there are pretty good.
Two qualities, folks.
We're made in God's image, and we have a responsibility.
There'll be more.
But we're made in His image, so that we are enough right there. We're made like Him. That's enough. The end.
The English word for rest is not, I mean, like you say, it's like, well, this is just a sleeping thing, right? But the Hebrew word, which I don't know, means more like settling in, appreciating, like God rested on the seventh day. So he goes into his creation. He goes, I'm going to enjoy this. This is awesome. Let me be with you guys, and we'll walk in the garden to get, well, let's get ahead of ourselves. But that's what rest is about, is just appreciative and settling into your comfy, cozy chair, right? That kind of thing. And
So is he still resting? Is God still resting?
there's no beginning and end to that day, right? Hebrews actually says we're still in God's rest today.
That was
seventh
cheating.
day.
You went to Hebrews.
Sorry, we
Strike
already
that
cheated.
from the
We already
record.
said we
Strike
were
it from the
cheating.
record.
All right, well, that's it. Thank you for joining us this week. We appreciate it. Again, if you have any comments, questions, join the discussion online. We'll try to join with you.